Hi guys, I figured it would be time to make another mousepad roundup video of the best and worst mousepads I've tried recently. So let's start with the cheapest pad of the bunch, the Gitoper G2. It arrived very tightly rolled and apparently has some transport damage or something because there was a thread pulled on the upper right corner and it now has a 10 centimeters long line in the upper right corner that causes my mouse cursor to skip whenever I go over it. That is kind of unfortunate because that kind of hinders me from using this pad. Static friction on this pad is also kind of high and it results in a somewhat sticky feeling when getting the mouse to move. The dynamic friction is also a bit on the medium side, so I'd say this pad lands in the control category of pads. Overall, the quality of this pad is kind of bad and the stitching is very much raised above the surface. Well, the base is pretty good though, and they are using the similar base style than on the new X-Ray Pad Aqua Control Zero pad, but yeah, for the price it basically competes with the standard Lethal Gaming Gear pads and X-Ray Pad pads, and sadly doesn't really stand a chance against them. I can't recommend this pad to anyone. Then let's talk a bit about my new Artisan collection. First on the list is the new Zero Mid in Dye Orange that has been appearing somewhat a lot on my videos for a good reason. I really had to get this pad because the color just looks amazing and I was intrigued about how the Zero with the Artisan mid base feels, and this is a pad that can basically do anything. The mid base together with the Zero surface makes the pad have a fairly low static friction and also a quite slow dynamic friction, so it can be considered a quick pad. It is still a controlled glide but not as fast as the Hien or the Raiden, for example. The mid base is not as sticky as the Soft and XSoft variants. As you can see, it can move quite easily on my desk, but you can make it very sticky with just spraying some water between your desk and the pad. The stitching is, no surprise here, artisan quality, but because of the mid base it's basically on the level of the surface, but it's not noticeable in use and it's super consistent and very pleasing to look at. Dog hairs can still get stuck to the pad in my experience, but the problem is not huge by any means. I have picked maybe 5 hairs with tweezers from the pad. So if you want a great all-rounder pad and don't usually like very soft pads, you could give the Zero Mid a go. Next we have here the Artisan Hien Soft. I basically ordered this together with the Zero because you can get 2 pads from Artisan with the same postage fee. I previously had the XSoft Hien and it was very inconsistent and it seemed to have insane amounts of static friction. The soft version, however, is nothing similar performance-wise. The soft base compared to the XSoft makes this a very fast in both static and dynamic friction. But I'm not gonna talk about the Hien much here because it has been praised for so long and to this day it is still one of my favorite pads, even though it has a very abrasive surface. But if you want a really fast, long-lasting hybrid pad and prefer to have a bit more of the feedback to your mouse gates, this is always a great option. Then we have the Artisan Raiden Classic in XSoft base. This pad is my newest addition to my collection and I stumbled across it while browsing demo products from Max Gaming and wanted to give it a go because my old Raiden, which is the older version that causes some sensor spinouts on GPX, it also has big problems with the stitching and the edges curling upwards. But yeah, some of you may not know that you can get some of the Artisan pads, the Zero and the Raiden, for a bit cheaper if you get the classic version. The only difference between the classic and the FX versions is the stitching, which as you can see is missing from the classic version. But even without the stitching, I can't really be bothered with this edge. It doesn't really hurt me while using and I guess it won't start fraying. But we'll see about that in the future. But yeah, honestly, the Raiden XSoft is gonna be on my desk for a while. It offers such a low static friction together with a low dynamic friction that my aim and micro adjustments feel very effortless on it. The surface feels silky smooth to the touch and the XSoft base, funnily enough, doesn't bother me or make the pad feel inconsistent with the surface of the Raiden. So if you want a very quick pad with smooth surface, Raiden is a really good pad for you. And if there are no FX series pads available, it doesn't hurt to check out the classic versions as well. these are also really good. And then we have here the lethal gaming gear Saturn Pro version 2 in soft. And yeah, here are my experiences with it. At first the base felt too soft and I felt kinda inconsistent with it, but after I put more time on this, I actually like this pad very much. You just gonna make sure not to put too much pressure on the pad. Softness is between the Artisan Soft and XSoft, and the thickness of the pad is 4 mm. Static friction on this pad is basically the same as on the Artisan Zero, so micro corrections feel effortless on it. And the dynamic friction is just a tad bit more than on the Zero, but with the soft base you can increase it by using more pressure on your mouse. Also, the weave of the pad looks very similar to the Artisan Zero, but the base makes the difference here. Quality wise, there are no problems on this pad, and Lethal Gaming Gear has made some very impressive stitching work on the pad. This is basically as good as the Artisan stitching. It is a very good balanced pad to be used in multiple games, and there are also multiple sizes available of the pad. The 500x500mm size I have is just fantastic to use. It covers basically all your aiming needs, so this is a top tier pick for me. And then last on my list is the Freefall SV Base Control Plus. And this pad has been hyped quite a bit recently, mainly because of their new take on a mousepad base. They are marketing this SV base as a means to improve the consistency of your aim by reducing the amount of give the pad has, and yep, I quite agree with their statement here. That is one of the main reasons I like hard pads. But this is not a hard pad. Instead, the base is made from hard silicone blend type of thing that sticks to your desk and feels like a hard pad when pressing down. There is absolutely no give on this base. As for the friction, the pad has more static friction than on the Saturn Pro or the Zero Mid, and the dynamic friction is a bit more as well. So this is a bit more on the controlled side of the pads. I found my micro corrections a bit tedious to do with this because of the tuggy feeling, but I mean, my preference is on the speedier side and I am very used to using glass pads, so maybe take my experiences with a grain of salt. The size of the pad is 450x450, which in my opinion is a great size. It fits my desk perfectly, and the quality wise, the pad is perfect. The stitching is very nice. There's no threads sticking out or anything. The coloring looks really nice. Even the logo looks pretty. So if you are looking for a medium speed mousepad and tend to become very tense in high pressure situations and want that extra consistency on your aim but don't want to go for the class pad route, this could be the pad for you. It is a top tier pick also. And here is a spreadsheet of the pads I covered. The results shown here are all averages of my testing runs, and if you are interested in my testing methods, I have made a couple of videos where I describe them in more detail. But let me know in the comments if there were any surprises on the mouse pads tested here, and see you next time. Goodbye.